Hold on.
Oh, look at it. She bought that. Period.
What's the craziest conspiracy theory you think about, but you wouldn't tell nobody?
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
You got one tapped in? Craziest conspiracy theory.
I can't.
Pizzagate. They all did that shit. They got the island. Yeah. Bill Gates. Goddamn. The first lady. Goddamn the Trump. Yeah. All of them. They tapped in.
Hey, Mike, what's your worst breakup story?
My worst breakup story? I caught him in bed cheating and I whooped that.
Oh, man. That's sad.
Hey.
All right, next question. What's heavier, a pound of pillows or a pound of pennies?
A pound of pennies.
Pound of pennies. This is the last one.
He can't even say it. He's gonna reach out.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Yo, welcome to the New Normal Podcast. I want to tell everybody thank y'all for tuning in. Today, we got a fire topic at hand. And this is coming off the backs of the mass shooting. The mass shooting. And we're going to talk about narratives, I guess stereotypes, I guess labeling today. And the reason we're talking about that is I think they don't want to call black people doing mass shootings because they have those labels for certain reasons. What do you think?
I agree. I think that people are not being honest with themselves about what a mass shooting is. And to say that black people don't commit them is a little erroneous, if you ask me.
Especially if you stay in Birmingham. Like mass shootings probably happen every other weekend, but they don't get those titles or those labels, I would say. I think if you had, woman comes in the hospital stuck inside of dog or dog is stuck inside of her, you'll be like, oh, that's a white woman. They'll be like, oh, a man blew up a bus in search of 25 virgins. You'll be like, what you say? Who's that?
Like a Muslim.
Okay, so they said somebody shot up church with an AR-15.
You would think that was a white person.
Right, okay, and they say drive-by shooting.
You definitely think black person.
Okay, and the reason I think a lot of the times when they have these labels like drive-by shootings and gang violence, I think they have those labels specifically for black people because if they use the narrative of mass shootings, I think they want to keep those just for like white boys. And the reason that is because when it comes to gun control, I think they try to keep those labels just to basically fuck with the NRA. What you think?
I'm gonna be honest, I guess I hadn't thought about it like that. Can you expound?
Well, when it comes to all the legislation, they always pushing back on the NRA. So if this is the biggest group of people pushing back on it and they get a lot of money and a lot of funding, and that it's basically like white man ran, then I'm gonna try to make sure that the headlines when it comes to mass shootings and these violent guns and these guns that can take out so many people, because most people don't know most of your guns that kill people are handguns, not assault weapons. Most people don't know that. So, like I said, I think that's just like fuck you NRA when they do that.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. And then a lot of people don't even know that, like when you say, like for instance, like AR-15, it doesn't stand for assault rifle.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it does stand for. It's kind of a little tricky pronunciation, but it doesn't stand for assault rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And just these kind of like misconceptions that have been developed over time about what constitutes a semi-automatic and all these types of things and what they're used for and who has the right to use them or not use them. So yeah,
and I think it's scary that we have people like the Democratic Party. And I'm not Democratic, I'm not Republican. I just say go with the people that earn your vote. That's my stance on anything. If you think you lean more Democratic, if it's about, you want to cut your little boy PP off, cool. If it's about, capitalism, if you think that Mark Zuckerberg can go and buy Instagram and other companies to clean out the competition, that could be Republican. So it just depends on what you think. I think both sides have some stuff to work on. This is my disclaimer because we're in this political season.
Yeah.
So I just making sure people understand because I don't think companies should be able to eliminate competition.
That's a monopoly. That's not legal.
Right. So like I said, that's why Mark Zuckerberg gets sued for billions of dollars after buying the Instagram or something like that. But like I was saying, I just think they want to say fuck the NRA. I think with those labels, it's an attack on white men too.
Yeah, and see, I'm glad you brought that up because we live in a time where and forgive me for shouting out, but if you ever watch like the Angry Man channel, he talks about this a good bit, how slavery and the subsequent things that follow have made people develop this idea that anything bad that happens to white people is not only okay, but that it's deserved. So it's like a good thing. So we can't look at it as the same way we've experienced racial discrimination or systemic racial disparities or whatever, like that exact same thing. That paradigm has shifted all the way to the other side now, to where it's like you said, if you are a white man, you are public enemy number one.
Oh yeah. Do you think? I'm gonna ask you this because I know a lot of black women believe in this, and you being a black woman, I gotta ask: do you believe in karma?
I do, and you know, you one show we did some time ago, we joked about how it's kind of wonky to talk about like energy and stuff. But if I'm being honest, I do believe that. I believe that energy is reciprocal. So I think if you put a certain energy out, it has to come back. I do believe that.
Do you think that some of the stuff that white men are dealing with now could be some part of karma, or do you think it's a higher agenda and they just the scapegoat right now, or
I think it's both, because of course there's going to be some karma for the atrocities that they subjected people to, but I also feel like, to your point that I think you were kind of hinting at, they're tricking us into thinking that certain ideologies are good for us when they're really not. It's never good for a people to base themselves on victimhood.
Right.
Victimhood never gets you anywhere. No one, Michael Jordan didn't sit and feel sorry for himself when he didn't make his high school basketball team. You know, all these types of successful, great people have had to deal with adversity. They've had to look inward to figure out what their problems are. And if Black people are not willing to do that, which goes to the topic we're talking about today, with how we refuse to call drive-by shootings mass shootings,
right.
because we've just decided, oh, hey, you know, that's that white folk stuff. No, it's that our stuff too.
Right. So what is considered a mass shooting? Is it when you shoot?
I think it's at least, I think it's if you shoot at least 4 people.
Oh yeah, that happened all the time in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Club shootings. And the crazy part about it is, I think because it was so drastic that they had to call it a mass shooting. Like,
Right.
It was so bad when you got, I think up to 7 people have died now, and I think 22 people have
As
got
I said,
shot.
I think it's at least 20 that got shot in total. I forget the exact death rate, but I know it's well over 5.
Yeah.
And that's just disgusting to think that those people, and oddly enough, if anyone ever watches my channel, if they've seen me before, they know I can be a little critical of Black people, but I don't have any problem with people going out having a nice time. Those
Right.
people merely being at Hush or in line for Hush or even just in that area did not warrant you being in
shot,
any
right.
danger.
Right, and that's how I feel. I think a lot of stuff needs to be curtailed in our city because it's a big gang presence, and it's not like Bloods and Crips now. It's
Right.
like neighborhood, a lot of neighborhood
Like
stuff,
turf stuff.
right? Turf stuff. A lot of these younger guys making these little sets of themselves, and now we have an issue with retaliation. It's been a lot of killing actually since that mass shooting. So
really?
yeah,
Like retaliation, yeah.
retaliation, and so a lot of people get caught in these situations where they just chilling with somebody. And another thing I'm gonna say for the ladies, this is for the ladies. If you are a
Click the comment.
oh, hit the comments right there in the corner at the top, right up on the end stream.
Top right with the red.
Yeah, hit that.
See what people are saying. It'll take a second.
Click it again. My computer's going slow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
What was you saying?
Oh, but like I was saying, if this is for the ladies, if you're dating a guy, you like guys that are like the hood dudes or in the streets and stuff like that. If you know these dudes are hot, please, pretty please, don't watch what you're doing. Just hit the thing at the bottom. The
what is that, Safari?
not Safari, Google at the bottom. You see?
Oh, the Chrome icon.
The Chrome icon down at the bottom right. You just pass it. The colorful one. The gay looking one. There you go. There you go. So, but yeah, like if you're a woman and you dating these guys and you know they're in the streets and stuff like that, please be careful because it's been a lot of innocent young ladies. And I think they're innocent. I want to say they're innocent. I think they just like the thrill, the bad boy vibes. But a lot of these girls get caught in these crossfire and they get killed as well.
Right.
And so I'm just telling y'all, I know y'all like these guys, be careful who you hang around because personally, I got cousins Hello, Simone. I got cousins that are hot in the city, and I see them in the street. I give them a dap and keep it moving because I
Yeah.
already know it might be
You
2
already know
seconds.
what type
Somebody
of
might be
time.
shooting at them. So,
Exactly.
like I said, I don't understand how we have so many people that just comfortable with this idea of thug culture, gang culture, or even just like why we can't keep rap entertainment.
And see, another thing too, like you mentioned the young ladies and how they're for the most part innocent. And of course, technically, yes, they are. But I also feel like, how innocent are you really when a lot of these women have children? And I feel like if you're going to be dating these types of men, you're putting your children at risk. And
Yeah.
that doesn't sound like an innocent person to me. That sounds like a person who's a willing
Participate.
participant in what's going on. And though, yes, it's sad because you don't think of young ladies being like, in these war zones. But like you said, if they're determined to date these guys and they're so attracted to that bad boy lifestyle, then they kind of get what they get, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm gonna ask you this. Do you think if people grow up in like that type of environment, can you blame them?
Well, I want to ask you this, and the only reason I'm
Right.
following with the question is because I want a little context. I know that at some point, Black culture was not like this. You know what I'm
I
saying? At
agree.
some point, we had intact homes. We actually had a higher marriage rate than our white counterparts at some point. I think it was the 60s, early 60s. And so we valued education. I can even remember some of those really old movies where like the kids, like if they came home from school and they got like an A on something, it would be a big deal in the house and all this type of stuff. So somewhere some generational shift happened where that we don't feel like that anymore about things. We don't have those same types of values. So it's kind of like, when you say grew up like that, who was the group that stopped that? You know what I'm saying? Where did it stop?
Well, me and my wife been having this conversation, and she says the generation before us is the one blind.
Generation X.
Yes, I think she said
Okay.
Generation X specifically, that those are the group that failed us. And I just seen maybe a couple months ago, it was a guy at a city council meeting. You hot? You hot?
Oh, I'm okay.
Okay. It was a guy at a city council meeting, and he was saying that y'all are going to see these young niggas turn on y'all because y'all failed them. Y'all want to be. You got to think about it. Generation X was also, and I say this now: Black people are the new hippies.
Yeah.
Like just having conversations with people on the panel and stuff, like the women, love is love. And I say this all the time. One of the girls said, if I'm in love with a tree, I'm gonna fuck it.
Dang.
And then I had another girl in here saying, "Oh, I don't believe in titles. Love is love." All this, I call them the Black Mystic. We had a lot of the Black Mystics, and I think that's off the backs of Erykah Badu and
3-time baby mama, by the way, y'all.
Three-time
That's who
baby
y'all
mama.
want to emulate yourselves
Right.
after.
And so when we have these conversations, it's like, what's really going on? Why did y'all think that taking on that hippie lifestyle? Because you got to think about it now. We have a lot of Black people smoking weed. That was
Right.
white people shit. Like
It
like a lot of
was.
stuff that Black people are doing now. We 40 years behind what white people are used to do.
That's a good way of looking at it too, thinking of it as being behind white people. It's like we love to point the finger to say, oh, well, it's not a problem when white people do it. It's like, okay, but white people don't have the same issues culturally that we do. So obviously they either stopped doing certain things at large or they found a way to skirt around it. And we haven't. You know what I'm saying? We haven't found a way to have most of us smoke weed and still be productive. I don't care what anybody says. When I was younger, I dated a guy. And his whole family was crazy. And they were the quintessential like hood family or whatever. They was just fools. Yeah. And they spent so much of the day smoking weed and they were so unproductive. It's not like they were smoking and writing dissertations or something. Like that's what people love to act like. They love to act like if you smoke, you get inspired and your mind is elevated or whatever. It's like, no.
It depends.
Maybe it depends on what type you're smoking.
I'm gonna say it depends. And as a person who studied marijuana and actually grew marijuana, it depends on a lot of factors. Now, for the most part, I say this: we deal with mental illness too much, especially in the Black community, for so many people to smoke weed.
Okay.
I do believe that for so many people to be high and smoke and try to function when marijuana is actually a mood altering substance or a plant, and most people can't function.
Do you believe that it's a gateway drug? And the reason I ask is because, nowadays, the kid, look, I know I sound so old, the kids, but the kids are doing like, they popping perks and stuff. Like, I feel like it started with, I believe, like most people were smoking weed, whatever strains,
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Darius just said something. Click that comment right there. It's it said white folks right there. That one, yeah. Click that one.
Hit it again.
Hit it again.
Just hit it one time. It's probably a
This
little
is why I
lag.
say that we behind. What that say?
He says, white folks were taking shrooms when I was in 9th grade, but now it's popular in our community. Yes,
We so behind.
We so behind.
You gotta think about that's 20 years. I'm pretty
exactly.
Sure that's 20 years
for
ago.
sure.
Or
Yeah.
Probably longer than that, because 9th grade I was
about 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 36. I'll be 36 this year. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, that's 22 years for me.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that's why I said we about 40 years behind on stuff. Right now, I think it's accelerated now because everything is on social media and so many people can get access to stuff. So with social media, we're probably like 20 years behind now. But before that, it was definitely on some 40 years behind. You know what I'm saying?
And another thing is too.
Back to your week comment.
Oh no, that's I guess I was just saying. Do you believe that it is like a gateway?
Do I believe that it's a gateway drug? I can't say that I believe that. As a person who smoked weed before and used to be an avid weed smoker, I would say no, because it's never a time I smoke weed like shit. I want to know what crack feel like,
right?
Because I still feel like black people still have their limits, and I think like when you talking about gateway drugs like fentanyl, niggas scared of that. Like I just seen a video of a black dude in the hospital.
Okay.
And the nurse was like, "Yeah, you're in pain, so we're gonna give you some fentanyl." He said, "Fentanyl." He said, "What?" And she's like, "No, not the fentanyl on the street."
I ain't gonna lie, with that same reaction.
Like, fentanyl. He was like, "No, you ain't finna kill me."
I know that's
and the nurse was like, "No, baby, no, it ain't like this stuff you get. Like we know what we doing here." And so with that saying, it's like niggas have a limit. I think now, even with psychedelics, most black people wouldn't fuck with a psychedelic on the sense that we always thought it just made you crazy.
Right.
And then with the psychedelic and your mind altering, a lot of people, like especially like in Cali, come off of Sherm when they used to dip the weed in the embalming fluid.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that a lot of people went crazy off smoking that type of stuff. And
well, they're lacing the weed now, though, right? With fentanyl.
With fentanyl,
yeah.
We had a guy in here, as a matter of fact, he was talking about how his brother died off of smoking weed with fentanyl.
Goodness.
And so that's why it's scary. That's why I think at this point you need to pretty much get your weed from a dispensary, or you need to grow it yourself. Mm-hmm. I know you got to wait 3 to 6 months to get some good quality weed. It's a big learning curve because I had somebody actually call me about a weak ass plant they had grew, and he's like, "Can I cut it down?" And I said, "Well, you might as well throw that shit away."
Right?
Like, it was horrible. But like I said, as a person that's grown weed and understand the strands and what you trying to do, like I don't. It's just me talking about weed. You can take the coming down now. You can just click it. But as a person that has grown weed and studied it, like I don't like head highs. I don't like when the steam coming off my head. I like more relaxing body highs. I like something that if I were smoking, I don't smoke anymore, but if I were smoking, it'd be something that I would probably partake in right before sex with my wife or something like that. But
the same way people kind of have a little nightcap.
It was be on the strength of that. But since I drive trucks, I don't never want to have anything in my system just in case I hit somebody.
Yeah.
Not going to put me under the jail for that.
Because they definitely will try to.
Right. And then two, like what I do with all the content creation, like I feel lazy. Like smoking weed makes me feel lazy, and I'm a person just being transparent that suffer from depression a lot. Like I know that I get depressed, or I'll go to the gym. Like I have to. The thing about depression is you have to catch depression before you be in the stupor too long. A lot of that, and that's the key for depression. A lot of people be like, "I've been depressed," and they be like, "When did you get depressed?" And then they had to think about, "Am I been depressed 3 months?"
Right.
But now I can actually know that I'm depressed. I'm at a point now is I feel like I know like onset when I'm getting depressed.
Yeah.
And so I don't never want to be smoking weed, and I know that I deal with those type of things with depression. A lot of people say weed helps it, but it doesn't. It's really a stupor. It's going to put you in a bad mindset, and that's why we have a lot of these guys out here be high, listening to music, and able to commit such brazen crimes like they do because a lot of these guys are high mentally. Also.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I guess that's why I might consider a gateway drug. I do realize that it is dependent upon the person, but I also feel like every time we see these really atrocious crimes happening at the hands of Black men, people always say, well, you know, they was high off such and such when they did this. It's like, I think they've been smoking weed for so long, since some of them since they were in middle school, you know what I'm saying, that it got to a point where it was like, well, this just doesn't do it for me anymore. You know what I'm saying? They chasing that new thing.
I would say, this is me asking you, and this is something we all partake in. And I would say, do you chase highs with sex?
Not really. I feel like since I am in a committed relationship, I can tell when my man and I can tell when we probably should be physically intimate. Like if there's been like weird energy between us, I can say, okay, I think we need a little release. But I wouldn't say chasing a high for it. I wouldn't word it that way. Do you think that you do?
Do I chase? I don't chase a high. This is what I've grown to know, and I think it's some validity. And I see a lot of women say that, but I kind of agree, especially with all the Diddy stuff that's going on now. I think it's a such thing as too freaky.
Yes.
I know this is off course, but I think it's a thing is too freaky, and also is the lines that I don't want to cross with my wife that makes her question my masculinity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like I see a lot of girls, and I don't know what it is about ass play that women are intoxicated with on this podcast. It's either a girl say, well, yeah, I just had a vibrating butt plug in, or my dude let me hit him with a dildo or a strap on, or yes, I like to eat men's butts. And I'm like, whoa, and these are young girls.
Yes.
We ain't talking about I'm 30, I'm gonna be 36 next month. So I'm thinking, okay, you slow progression. You older, you might be like, okay, you over this shit. You done everything.
Right.
You want to try something new. You talking about 21.
Well, they're already crashed out, and we've talked about this before. Like we're dealing with a new generation of kids, and I know once again, I know it makes us sound old, but it's just the truth. Like these 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, the things that they're into because they've been doing so much for so long. Like they've been sneaking into parties and clubs and drinking and stuff since they was 15 years old and stuff. So by the time they get grown, they done had sex with however many people and did this and that, threesomes and stuff. That stuff is tame to them. And then I watched a video of this young lady saying, you know, ladies, how our older aunties and grandmas always used to say, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. It's not. It's through his ASS. I was like, what? Girl, she was dead serious. She said,
hit the purple button on the podcast. The purple button, hit the purple button. That's the shot. The purple button is the shot. It's the next. It's purple. Is it purple? There you go. That's the sound we needed.
Listen, I'm telling you, she was dead serious, and there were people in the comments agreeing, saying that so many men today enjoy the butt play.
Look, like I said, that would honestly, I'm just gonna be transparent. I've never had that done, but I would never do something like that with my wife because I think that would mess up the dynamic, and I don't think a lot of people, like me and my wife, been together 7 going to 8 years, right? Introducing something like that now, like is he the nigga? Where you get this from?
Where did you get this from?
Or have you been holding this out, or are you down low, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's something when it comes to, like I think it kind of got to be introduced together. Like for instance, I don't know how you introduce new stuff after you've been together with somebody for that long.
I'm gonna just be honest, like Darius said, he's too old school for that. I know it's just not the popular thing to say. I just think certain things you ain't got no business doing. As a man, I know everybody hates that little precursor as a man, but hasn't it always been common knowledge that you're not like your backside is off limits? Like the most I should be dealing with your butt is like if we're having, and I'm maybe kind of pull you in a little like further, deeper, or something like that. Other than that, I should not be. And I'm a young lady. Like, I'm sorry, this is the money shot. Yeah. This is not going in between nobody's ass cheeks, let alone a man's. Like, no, that's just so. And we talked about this.
You'd be more open to it for the woman.
No, these hoes don't be cleaning their ass. You need to go go in, sneak it just right in front of the door at a ladies' bathroom one day and smell that smell, and you be like, no, it ain't no difference for the girls.
I used to be janitor, custodian, whatever you want to call it, at a school before, and the girls' bathroom was always more dirty or stinky than the guys'. Or when I used to clean up the locker rooms, like the softball locker rooms, baseball, compared to the softball and baseball, like girls are literally just like they tampons on.
As I say, we have so much like with the monthly stuff that we deal with. Like our bodies are literally purging out impurities. Like you have to, and that comes from your mom. Your mom teaches you that from an early age. Like this is how you dispose of a sanitary napkin. You want to make sure you empty the trash. Don't let them pile up because they'll smell. Like it's impurities. Like it's blood, and it's So the fact that they so many of our young girls, I'm gonna be honest. If I can segue. I think the reason I go so hard on Black women is because I think they're the problem. I think if Black women...
Oh, that's countable right there.
I know it. I know.
You're going there. You're going there?
I think if Black women... I'm going there. Oh, yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there. I think if Black women raised the standard, the men would comply, not follow. I don't want to use the word follow because men should be leaders, but it's more so that men... Y'all's like sexual nature is gonna always put you in a place where you're gonna do whatever the women allow for. Like if the women are out here willing to have threesomes, willing to be eating ass and all this crazy stuff, you probably gonna be like, well, shoot, if you freaked out like that, you freaked out. But if the women say, okay, we're not gonna do these things, we're gonna stop dating these switch boys and all this stuff, so y'all won't get no play because we're just gonna say we don't like that no more. Like that's not. We want the men with 401ks, we want the men with business licenses or whatever. If they just do that, men naturally want, the affection of women and the attention of women. Y'all peacock, it's a part of your nature. I think that we could change the paradigm.
I would agree, but the thing about human nature, most people like discipline. You know what type of discipline it would have to take for a woman to say, I'm not having sex with you unless you meet these criteria.
Right.
Like that would take a lot of discipline. There'd be a lot of horny nights. But then again, I don't know, because I think it goes back to unlocking Pandora's box, because if you're a woman that you haven't been freaked out or like sexually active, then it probably be easier for you. But a person that has gotten a taste of, a great sexual experience, you probably be horny late at night type of stuff. And I want to speak for women, so I don't know how it is to be a woman and never having sex. Like, do women get horny or not? So I'm not speaking on that, but I'm just saying, I know as a man, I was horny all the time, even before having sex. Like you wake up in the morning, you picture the
like
what I'm saying? So I don't know if women experience that.
Well, no, but I was gonna say that it was funny because me and my boyfriend were talking about that the other day. Like I've always heard men say that when y'all were in school, like y'all would have random like boners in school, and I just think that it's so awkward for y'all and unfortunate but funny.
Especially like I had a fine teacher. I'm gonna say this.
Oh God,
I had a fine teacher, 7th grade. Miss Willis. If y'all went to
bank, why you say her name?
I'll put her name out there. Hey, if y'all watch this video, y'all make sure y'all share this video.
Yeah, make sure to like the video, guys.
Make sure y'all follow us on all pages. Chill Out J podcast.
Yes.
And the New Normal podcast. But Miss Willis, she was like, I'm gonna say she was probably mixed.
Really?
Black, Hispanic, had this long hair. And I knew she was fine because I got in trouble at school one day. My daddy came down. She had just dyed her hair red, right? And my daddy was like, "That's your teacher?"
Oh, look, your dad ain't even helping the situation.
And so she'd be right on the board. She had these tight jeans on, big old booty. No. She'd call you up, Cedric, come and do this problem. Problem? Yeah, I got a problem, right? Like, man, I did. The guys who would go to the during class changes, we would be like, Miss Willis know our dick be hard than the motherfucker.
Oh, no.
Miss Willis know this shit. Like, why she calling us up into the board like this? I'm talking about fine. Then I had another fine teacher, 8th grade, Miss Taylor.
You had fine teachers at the worst years, 7th and 8th grade. Those hormones had been raised.
Because when I was 20, I seen Miss Taylor again, and she was still fine. We was talking. She's like, hey. She's like, you was one of my students. When I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah. She's like, you growing to be a nice looking, strong man. Like that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Miss Willis, Miss Taylor, let me get your number. She's like, okay. She's like, I'm going through a divorce, but I was like, well, what you like to do? She's like, we go ride bikes or whatever. But the only thing I tell you is like, I got young kids, And I was like, I don't want to be nobody's stepdad.
Yeah, you were freaking 20.
Yeah, I'm trying to smash Miss Taylor. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Listen, go ahead.
And so after that, we talked on the phone a couple of times, and then like she just blowing me off. So like we never transpired anything.
Listen, ladies, please. I have said this so many times. I will continue to say it. Anybody who's been following Chill Out Jay since it was the Tough Topics podcast, you will know that when it was Tough Topics, I focused a lot more on kind of like the relationship dynamic stuff. I kind of segued more into politics. But ladies, listen, there is nothing more pathetic, and I do mean nothing more pathetic than being a freaky cougar. Like that lets me know you have hit rock bottom. Cause you know,
if you're a cougar, you rock bottom.
Man, rock bottom. You know full well a 20-year-old dude ain't looking for nothing but a good time and you know what I'm saying. You know that. So for you to put yourself in that predicament and to even suggest something remotely serious, like you've got to the point where you're dating kids. If you're 20, you're a freaking kid. You can't do anything for me. That's I'm sorry. That's rock bottom.
So I'm
wait. Hold on. Dating women is they interchangeable. I say women is totally rock bottom, and being a cougar is just a half step above that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this: if you are pursuing a guy, let's say he's 20, you're 40, and you pursue a guy for strictly sex, I understand that,
right?
Because at 40 years old, that Peter Walker may not stand up like a 20-year-old.
For sure.
We're going to agree. All right.
But think about it, even to that point. If you're 40 and unmarried, the only acceptable is if you were like a widow or something. But if you're 40, you should have your husband. And we hope people ain't cheating on their spouses. Like if that's the premise of what you were saying.
I'm going to say something controversial. I think, especially in our community, the Black community, I think the women know that they they're only good for sex.
You know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe deep down, they understand that they're not marriage material, and that's why they don't even bother.
Yeah, I think that's where it is. And like I said, even when I watch video from like 1970s, when you have all these Black women gathered around, they're doing an interview, and the white man asks, "Why don't you want to be with the father?" And the woman says, "Well, I don't want to take care of the baby and the father."
Right.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Say that because you was taking care of him before the baby, but now the baby come, you don't want to take care of him and the father, and you were going to cook,
right?
You're going to clean. You're still going to have sex, even if it's not with him. You're going to have sex.
You be having sex with somebody.
Things you said you don't want to do, you're still going to do with someone else, which is crazy for someone to just be like, "Oh, the baby's here. We're not going to do this anymore."
Well, you know, we have to realize too that the Black community is suffering from, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure what to call it, but the reason I go so hard on the Black community is because it's that, and it's this sort of like, I'm gonna take it a little deeper. It's a huge spiritual issue. Yeah. The fact that we really do not care about the well-being of our youth, like, and you can tell we don't. Like, the fact that there are Black women, I see it every single day. They make jokes about getting abortions. Abortions should be rare and discreet if they happen at all, which of course, I don't agree with abortion at all, but I understand they will happen, but they should be rare and discreet. Not, hey, y'all, deleted fetus. You know, I'm getting rid of this baby on Thursday, y'all. Y'all turn up. I'll be out Saturday. Like, that's abhorrent. And that is so common. It's not even like, oh, you'll find one or two women that act like this. And the worst thing about you women is that the ones of you that would consider yourselves to be the good ones, I've seen some of you that are married women, your teachers, your principals, and you co-sign that stuff because you have this like weird need to fit into some sisterhood, and you place that above the well-being of the generations coming up under us. That is despicable. And that's why I kind of feel like some people kind of get what they deserve in this sort of social climate.
I do think people get what they deserve. Also, I'm going to say the sisterhood shit is a lie.
Yeah.
We know that. They try to act like it, but the sisterhood is based on fear. The reason I'm going to say that is the reason that y'all, especially women, and especially Black women, the reason y'all have this camaraderie, this quote unquote solidarity with each other, because y'all scared of one another. You're not going to check another woman about her doing wrong. And I see so many women that, now as my wife, I said, if you see another Black woman doing some bullshit that you don't agree with, why y'all don't check it? Because if I see a nigga, if I'm my friends, it ain't gotta be a stranger, just my friends. Yeah. Hey, bro, you wrong for that. Or if like we've had conversations where a dude have been in a relationship, and I done seen other men check, hey man, you got a good girl at home. Why are you doing it?
Right.
Whereas I've been on trips like to New Orleans or in Florida.
Mhm.
Well, I'm on a guy's trip. They on a girl's trip. We meet this group of girls, right? And then a girl be like, "Yeah, I got a nigga," or have a wedding ring on, and the girl be like, "Girl, turn up." They at the club taking shots. Like they just so wide, man. I done seen dudes be on guys trips. Hey, bro, you know you got a good girl at home. She find out, bro, because we understand logic. Like, why would you risk that for this rat? Whereas women, like, I'm gonna risk it no matter what because I'm looking for a good time, no matter who it is.
And in addition to that, the reason why the other women will co-sign that behavior is because misery loves company. They don't want I shouldn't say us, because I want people to have significant long-standing relationships, but a lot of women don't because there's such a limited pool of quote-unquote good men. And one thing I will say, and I want to say this to you specifically because I know you do a lot of this type of content, like, are you able to admit that there is some truth to the idea that the state of the average Black man today is probably makes it a little difficult for women to be in more serious, long-standing relationships with them?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. And the reason I say yes and no, because I still see so many men wanting to get married.
Really?
Well, I see so many men. I've had them on the podcast, and we have these conversations with these women. They'll be in these long-standing relationships and just up in one day, just leave this guy. They baby daddies, they just up and leave him. Well, he wasn't growing, he wasn't doing this, and it's like, well, if you knew he wasn't doing it from point A, why go and procreate this point and then decide to leave? But then the flip side is like, if you don't do that, then it's like, I dated this guy, I wanted more for my life. He didn't want more. He was stagnant. And I know as a woman that it's like if a woman tells me like this, I want to be able to stay. And this is why I say women should make a list. I tell all my homegirls, what kind of house do you want to stay in? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of lifestyle do you want? What kind of school do you want your child to go to?
Right.
Like all these things you wrote down, and then you need to have the man that can, what professions that the men can do to provide this, right?
Yeah.
And so if a woman comes to me and say, I want to stay in a $300,000 house, I want to drive a baby Benz, I want my kids to maybe go to private school. I want us to be able to take trips 2 or 3 times a year. So I know I need a dude to make this type of money.
Right.
If she says, well, I'm dating a dude and he wasn't trying to do that, and I explain that to him, then I say, okay, I understand.
Right.
So now I say, hey man, I want this. He says, okay, I can do it. And year 3, he's not doing anything. He's still at the same job, still stagnant. Okay, what can I say? What can anybody say? Because you told him up front. And I think 3 years is an ample amount of time to be with something, especially with y'all having a time clock. But a dude, I can bullshit with a woman forever and still go and start a family like Robert De Niro had a baby at 83. So, I ain't got to worry about a time clock or, stuff like that. So with that, if women said it like that, then yes. But most women, when they come to a relationship, they just having sex. Just fucking.
See, I have a couple of rebuttals to that. First is Darius asked me a question. He says, what is he's not trying to grow mean? I feel like if a woman says that, typically, I feel like she's basically saying that that every relationship is supposed to advance in some way, especially romantic relationships.
I agree.
Friendships and stuff, maybe not as much because it's kind of like this.
Too.
They should grow, but I feel like there's like an understanding for romantic relationships. Like you're going from dating to being engaged to being married to having children, owning your first home together. Those are all milestones that you're expected to reach. And so if you're with a man that just doesn't seem like those things are interesting to him, then it's kind of like, okay, well, I need to be with someone who is. And then it could also mean that he's not growing within himself. Like, if he's mentioned like stagnant in like his career, or if he has like a hobby or a passion and you're like, okay, this is cool, but he's not developing it in a way. Like, one thing I've always admired about you, Sid, is that you really take your passion seriously with content creation and stuff. I've literally watched you grow over the years and stuff. So those types of things are good. But I also feel like, to your point about the women just having sex in relationships, I don't want to seem like I'm towing the line, but I really think that a part of that comes from this expectation that men today don't want to commit. And I think that they kind of accept that loser mentality going in. Like they just
So the
accept.
woman accepts loser mentality.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically it. I really think that it's more so that they're just like
Um,
these niggas today don't really be trying to da. So I'm just gonna be here. I'm just gonna fill this place.
I disagree. And the reason I disagree because women that get on this podcast and tell us, well, the reason we do such and such because I look at what my nigga like on Instagram and he liking these girls on Instagram with all these fake ass, fake hair, lashes. They don't look nothing like me, but he liking it, so I'm trying to do what he likes.
What type of men are liking that, ladies? Come on. I'm not talking about.
I'm gonna be real.
I ain't talking about like.
If I see, but I'm a person. I'm a lean.
You wouldn't pop out with a woman that look like that. That's on some claws hanging from her fingernails, lashes out to her eyebrows, platinum blonde 30-inch bust down.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
Okay, first of all, I like more natural chicks. So I seem to like women that's in the gym,
right?
That do a lot of gym content, a lot of locks. I love locks. I love women that have locks. They style them, color them a certain type of way. If you're a professional house, like my wife, she really don't color her hair because she's principled. So if you are in a profession that allows you to color your hair, I like that, depending on the color. If it's too drastic, no. But I like you growing your real hair. I like you having your real nails. I like the real and authentic woman, right?
I think that's natural. Natural for men to like.
Yeah, but see, then I push back because there's a lot of guys I see that actually like because they feel as if when a woman does that, that means that a woman is trying to look good, right?
When you say when she does what?
Like put the weave in the hair or put the nails on, like she's actually trying to better her appearance, so they feel like that's sexy to them too. Which for me, I feel like it's putting on a costume to not really let me see who you look like. So it depends on how you look, different spectrums and stuff. So it just depends. But for me, I personally like more of a natural woman. Now, this is why every time we had this panel, I tell women it's a difference between wife and hoe. It is. So I'm gonna like a woman like that. You might not catch me with a woman, but that don't mean I wouldn't smash that woman.
Well, you gotta think you're a man, and I think us women are supposed to understand that goes back to the moms and aunties and grandmas. They were supposed to hip you to that game. Right. Yes, a man will sleep with a street walking looking girl because first of all, they're putting off that energy.
Honestly, and this is why we speak on our podcast. Men have to raise the barrier too on who they sleep with because we've been.
You're reinforcing the behavior when you sleep with these women,
and that's why I had a conversation the other day with somebody. I was like, I don't blame the women for being baby mamas when it's a fool born every day to take on a baby mama. Like if men were serious about not wanting our community, if she has a kid by somebody else, the first thing you should do is exile.
Right.
That's how we change a lot of this trajectory. It's things that women have to raise, and it's things that men have to raise. If the women know that you are so attached to your penis the way that you are as a man, then it's no reason for me to change because I know I get you to come here. And you got to think about this. If I put it on you good enough, and I know it ain't gonna go nowhere as a woman, I might can get you to come in here and pay a bill for 3 or 6 months. Then give me a new nigga to do the same thing you doing. Then give me another nigga to do the same thing you doing. And
vicious cycle.
And I don't need them to be there forever. I just need, hey, I'm struggling right now. Come on, do this. Come on and do this.
And see, the thing with the women is they be knowing, and if they don't know, it's just what's the phrase? Survival of the fittest. If they don't know, it is literally just natural selection taking place. If you are so dumb that you don't recognize that a felon, a career felon, and somebody with 4 kids and 3 baby mamas, if you're not smart enough to understand,
those are niggas with a good dick.
Well, that's because that's all they have to offer,
right? And so that's
a real thing,
and that's why I say most women understand they ain't good for nothing but sex. If women,
so you think both parties understand that?
Both parties, I think men and women understand that. If I'm a dude and I know I got good sex, it kind of be hard for me to commit because I know I can sleep around and I can pretty much bust my nut. A lot of dudes only want to have sex.
But wouldn't you agree that there has to be, or there at least there should be, a level of maturity that you guys reach to where, for instance, you are a married man, and so I'm sure in your mind, like you said, if you see on Instagram, you see the big booty hoes, and maybe if you're in public or something, you may see a woman that looks nice, but there's a part of you that understands that whatever your carnal mind is thinking in that moment, it's not worth destroying your family.
Let me tell you something. It's some real shit. You know that a lot of black people in our community is mentally retarded.
I never know what you're gonna say.
I'm just saying, a lot of people. This is
no, this is true. Unfortunately, guys, please don't even look up the IQ rates. It'll make you sad.
I'm not even bullshit. Just look it up. Most black people, majority of the black people in the black community,
clinically retarded. It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. They're clinically retarded, right? So what I noticed that there is some correlation between being retarded,
right,
and your sexual sick.
Yes, that's true.
So when we have a lot of people that are mentally retarded, they just want to have sex. And I always talk about this story. I still remember going to church, and this girl.
Because you were a PK, right?
Yeah, I'm a pastor's kid. So I remember going to church, and this girl looked my age. Now she looks my age. And Dick Gregory said this. This was a profound.
Oh, R.I.P. Dick Gregory.
It was profound. He was like, I got a grandmother that's been in the insane asylum, look younger than me, because she doesn't have any idea what's going on in the real world. So that doesn't make her age as fast, right?
Wow.
So this girl that I was going to church with, fine woman, fine girl. She looked like she was my age. At this point, I'm probably like 12. She looked 12 too. But she had a nice ass body, and I used to hear dudes like talk about it. I was like, why are you talking about 12-year-old, right? So coming out of church one day, my mom's talking to her mom. Gonna find out this girl is 30 years old.
Whoa.
Slow. She's 30 years old and slow.
Jesus.
Now listen to this. She's 30 years old and slow. And the conversation that my mom is having with her is by getting her fixed. Ugh. And the reason she was asking my mom, because she said she said it was a situation where they came in on her pleasing herself. And she's fine woman. You wouldn't, I'm telling you, all along but she was always with her mama. She was always there, like she has to be close to her mother at all times. Mother's got to hold her hand. But when I say ass, body, I'm talking about motherfucker is fine.
Stacked, huh?
Like she right. And niggas, I'm like, why you talking about 12? Yo, this for me. Now I found out this girl 30.
I never knew that that could literally stunt your development, like physically.
Like physically she was a woman, but in the face, she looked 12.
Oh, okay.
So she still developed like a girl,
okay,
but she's like a 12-year-old girl, like with me. And so when I'm and the mother was asking her, she was like, what should I do? Because my husband wants to get her fixed. I don't want to do it. Basically, we're getting her fixed. Basically, she can't have kids because she can't take care of herself. But we know she ready to pop that pussy. She ready to pop that cootie pop. We know it's real. We know. I didn't walk in on her doing pleasing herself. What am I supposed to do? And so my mama, I'm listening to my mama, and my mama. Well, I'm listening to my mom talking.
Your mom has the best stories, by the way.
My mom says, "Junior, go to the car." That's me. She said, "Junior, go to the car." And then we all get in the car. We ride home. And my mom talked to my dad, and she was like, "Did I tell her good advice? Because I want to make sure I'm telling her right. Because if that was my son, I would get him fixed, but I don't want to speak on nobody else's child in the wrong manner."
Right.
And so she was like, I told her I think she should get her fixed. And the reason she told her that, she said, you see these niggas running at your daughter?
Yeah.
And they know she's slow. Y'all, you seen that clip? And the feds be watching, but you're going to see this clip.
Oh, not the feds watching.
You're going to see this clip. It's a clip of Heat in the Night. And I forgot the old white man name. He asked another dude, he said, you slept with Willa Masters? He was like, yeah, she's legal. And then Bird to say, but she's retarded. Like that. That's because I was gonna put it on the soundboard. He's like, but she's retarded. Basically, when you just like that, you seen that documentary on Netflix about the
Yes, we watched that
right?
about the lady taking advantage of that dude.
So if you are mentally retarded,
you can't consent. Exactly.
And so at that point in time, this like 2000s, I'll say actually 2000, the year 2000. And so when I'm listening to this conversation and I'm understanding what's going on, it's like, oh, okay, like this person, like I knew at a young age that mentally retarded people have high sex drives.
They do.
I even remember so much so that I was watching Comment View, right?
Uh-huh.
And the dude said, yeah, I tried to date a single mother, right? And he's like, but her son was retarded. And then he's like, I just walk in the house. He said, I walk in the house and this nigga sitting on the couch. And I walk around the couch and see this nigga beating his dick. He's like, man, this nigga dick huge as hell. Like that. She's like, if anybody find it, they gonna take advantage of him. And I'm like, my God. Like,
I'm telling you, like that brings up a really good point because if the IQ levels are low and black people, please, it's not Said and I being, some sort of upper echelon of to where we're just looking down. It's just the facts. The unfortunate truth is most of our kids cannot read. And this is coming from someone who is an educator and someone whose wife is an educator. They literally cannot read at grade level.
And they build prisons off third grade reading levels. And my wife has said they have 12th graders who can't even read on a third grade level.
Yes, I'm telling you, there have been schools, thank God, not the school I'm at now, but there have been schools I have taught at where you're expected to teach a curriculum. I teach high school. So let's say I'm teaching 10th grade and they give me this curriculum. They're like, hey, by the end of 10th grade, this is what the kids should be knowing how to do, etc. And I'm like, okay, I try to present the information and the kids are looking at me like I got 5 heads because they have no idea what I'm talking about. They're not able to read and comprehend what they're reading. And that starts at home. My mom always brags, and shout out to my mom. She always brags on me when I was a small child that I read really early. She said, you were reading at 3, like consistently reading books at 3 years old. And I understand maybe that's not typical, but by 5, when you're getting into kindergarten, you should be able to read basic stuff because that's when you're going to start writing.
3-letter words, cat, dog,
exactly.
cat, tub, stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you're not, then of course you need to get your child, evaluated or whatever else. But I think it comes from so many things, and not to sound like conspiratorial, but I think it comes from like the food, like people. Oh my God, I have this one cousin, and of course I won't say her name, but she gives her kids just every time I'm around her, she gives them the worst snacks. She gives them Takis. All I see, they run around the house with blue Taki dust. They're like 2 and 3. I'm like, why are you giving these kids like, you know that this stuff is not good for them. They can only eat what you give them. Right. Like you're their mom. You know what I'm saying? They have all these harmful additives, and they have shown studies, or they have studies that show that stuff affects brain development, the preservatives and stuff we have in our foods. And so I guess to an extent, if we know that Black people are typically the poorest of all the demographics, then it stands to reason that we'll be feeding our kids the worst stuff. But I'm a country girl. So my level of poverty is different than like a city person. Like poverty for us was we still had hogs and chickens. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And our grandmama was going to feed us that type of stuff regardless. But I guess, if you're from the city or more urban area, I can understand that it's maybe not as easy to access the best foods and stuff. Like, do you agree with that? Or do you feel like it's an excuse?
And it's crazy because my wife is from Brundage. So it's a small town. They ain't even got a traffic light, right? So I always make that joke. And she was saying being a teacher in Birmingham, when it comes to poverty, is different because she was saying like there would be points where I can't pay my light bill, but I can go down to the company and say, hey, I can pay my light bill. They won't turn it off.
Right.
So where I'm going to school and these kids tell me, hey, we had to light candles. We were scared that if a wind came through that bitch, we was going to be in the dark. Like we had to light candles last night.
Yeah.
Like it's a difference because in a small community, in the country, like so many people look out for each other. But when you got like Birmingham, when you got Birmingham surrounding area, you got 1 million people. Mm-hmm. It's going to be kind of hard. But when you got somewhere where maybe 5,000, maybe not even that many people in the city, it'll be easier for me to, do that. Then you got to think about it. They got a lot of land out there. They're still hunting, hogs, chicken.
That's a real thing.
Cows, like deer. And then, like I said, you still can go fishing. Like you ain't worry about fishing license like you got to do in Birmingham and stuff like that. So that country life to city life, I would argue is probably a much better.
Right.
but at the same time, you don't want to fuck your cousin.
And that's I was just gonna say. Well, I was gonna say that I think it's still an excuse for city people because at the end of the day, let's be honest, and this is coming from somebody who would know because I'm an educator. Honey, first day of school, them kids come to school with them darn Supreme shirts and it might be, but still, and they got the J's and everything else, and I'm like, oh, okay, so your parents can afford these $200 J's, but you're gonna tell me that you can't afford to buy some just produce for your house, or just lean meats or whatever. Like you could just say, I'm gonna bake my kids some chicken this day, soup it up with some sauces or whatever. You just gonna make me believe that you have to feed your kids McDonald's every day, or better, or make them fend for themselves and they basically just feed themselves. Like, I don't believe that that's a thing. I think that that is an excuse that people make because Black people spend money on what they want to spend money on. These women, do you know how much it costs to get your nails done? Y'all look at my hand. You see these short, itty bitty nails, $60. $60.
How many often you get your nails did?
Well, I don't get them done regularly because I'll be half. But if I was, typically you should get them done every 2 weeks. Okay. So it'd be like for me, like $120 a month. But the point I'm getting at is, most Black women you see don't have nails short like this. They have the really long ones. Those nail sets will cost $150. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about, and they like to keep them up. So some of them girls might get them done every week. So you're talking $600 a month on just your nails. Then the wigs be like $400. You got to pay somebody $150 to install it. It ain't going to last you but about a month before it starts getting tacky. So you're spending hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands of dollars on just your appearance, and your kids are struggling. Get them hooked on phonics. Get them a tutoring session. That would show us that y'all are serious.
That's where we at, and that goes back to the mass shootings aspect.
Right.
We have a lot of people that are prioritize what they want to prioritize and not their children. You gotta understand, it's sad now in our community that we don't have initiatives where fathers, like, this is some real stuff, and I can fix. Like, I'm gonna put this out there because I was gonna write the mayor this, but I'm gonna put it out because we had conversations. But I'm gonna put this out. You can fix a lot of the educational problems, and I know they don't want to do this because I know a lot of the LGBTQ shit, right? But you could fix a lot of you could probably fix in 2 years your reading levels and your math levels of young boys and girls if you simply, they don't gotta go to different schools, had a male class and a female class.
Yes.
I'm talking about, you probably would have an astronomical jump.
You would, definitely.
In levels if you just simply put boys in one class, girls in one class, or boys in one hallway, girls in one hallway. And they can still go to lunch together. They can still do the electives together. They can still do stuff like that. But your core classes like reading, everybody needs to read and everybody needs math.
Yeah.
Now your science and history, not so much. But then I think when you come back to history,
you should have a basic level of it for sure.
You should know how the process of voting and Congress and bills passed, and your the founding.
And even
fathers.
that's more civics,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Like you should understand those type of things, but for the most part, you're going to need math.
Yeah.
You should separate the boys and you should separate the girls.
Oddly enough, I don't know if you know this about me, but I taught at an all-girls school before. When I lived in Kentucky, I taught at an all-girls school. The all-boys school was a little bit down the road. It's interesting. I will say that I think there's something so natural about physical attraction in young people that there was an abundance of girls who would just date each other, more so than I think would be a natural occurrence of it. Right. Of course, I don't believe, I don't believe in lesbianism anyway.
They should have different schools.
Yeah, they should have and the only time they would see each other is school dances. Now, to be fair, they had a good bit of school dances. It's like probably about every 2 weeks or so, they'd have a little after school dance or something. And of course, games or whatever. But yeah, it was totally separate schools. But when I substitute taught, before I was full-time teaching, I substitute taught at the boys' school, and it was so crazy seeing how focused the boys were. Right, they weren't hanging off the roof and stuff like usual. I'm like, who are these boys? Right. But I realized it was because they didn't have the girls to put on for and try to be class clowns.
And they talk about when you implement girls in a male, if you put girls around men, it raises the testosterone.
Yeah, because that competition.
Right. So it raises the testosterone level. So now men naturally unknowing why they doing this stuff. Why I gotta get down and do push-up. Why I gotta beat this nigga ass and show that I'm the dominant one. Because it the girls raise the testosterone.
Wow,
So,
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the girls raises the testosterone. So that's why I said in the classrooms and the learning, it's gonna be like just how I think about it. Seeing Miss Willis on that board, right on that board, is me having this chick next to me. I'm doing my test and look down and see them hips. See she developing titties and stuff like that, and I'm looking at her. I can't even focus in class.
As a teacher, you see it so much. I taught summer school this past summer, and boy, when I tell you, I had to almost dang near get my yardstick and hit them little boys' hands. Like, get your hands off this girl. Yeah. Every time I turn around, he's sliding his hand, just acting like he laughing about something, rubbing her leg or something. I'm like, leave this girl alone. But I know they're so hormonal.
They can't help it. And a lot of when it comes to your hormones and what you're doing, we don't talk about the natural aspect of it, and we don't talk about what is acceptable.
Right.
And I think that's why we get a lot of your P Diddy's too, because one of my co-hosts, Chris, was talking about, when I grew up, we were taught to, if a guy, you got to get that, like you got to get that, it don't matter. Like, I still remember as a young guy, men saying, "Pussy ain't got no face." I still remember, these are the conversations that I remember growing up as a young man and listening to these old niggas. Oh, pussy ain't got no face. And then I'm starting to get older and I'm realizing I don't want to hit this duck. Why you okay? And then you have these conversations with me, and now you start to realize they come from a generation where they had to get what they had to get.
Right.
Everybody freaked out in my generation, so I don't have to hit the duck. I don't have to hit this ugly, this booger wooger. You know what I'm saying?
And this brings up a good point about overweight women as well. And I'm not talking about a woman with a little extra cushion, because, honey, you can see from the screen, I ain't no size 2. But I'm talking about the women that's, really, really large women, and how they love to say, well, it's some nigga that like it. I'm like, do y'all not realize that's not a flex? It's not. That men will try to sleep with you. First of all, you're the lowest common denominator. They think you're an easy target. They think you're the easiest person that they could have sex with, because there's not a lot of men vying for your affection for real. I tell them, name me even just one, and we've talked about this. Name me even just one rich man, one man of affluence, one man of status who is pulling up with a big girl coming out of the Ferrari. You have never seen it, which would stand to reason that men with choices choose more fit women, or at least women with better proportions or something like that. Like, you're not finna be Respucia out here getting the 5-star dining.
Right. And I also ask women this: the women that you see, the women that you see that are big with the men, do you really want to date those men?
You never want to date those men. They're always these twigs. They're like the skinniest, no muscle tone. You could tell they smoked out, drugged out, dirty fingernails, pants sagging off they behind, and old underwear. Like, nobody ever wants those men. Like, sorry, sis, you pulling up with this dude to the function is not you telling me off about what I said about how men don't naturally desire. And it's an evolutionary thing. Like, men desire women who promote vitality. Like, so if you're a woman with a good shape, or you look like you take care of yourself, then it looks like you're good for child rearing and that type of thing, a good place to plant his seed. But we know that obesity, it suggests disease, and that you don't take care of yourself. So no, they're not going to be naturally attracted to that.
Most people don't understand that weight suggests disease.
Yeah.
People are like heart disease, cardiovascular issues, blood flow issues, diabetes.
And what about that is sexy? What about any of those things that I just mentioned is sexy?
Like people don't, I don't know why people don't understand that, but it's been a trick on us. And also, you gotta think about this. If they really push health, just think about this. If they really push health like they're supposed to, and everybody going and following the BMI charts, how much food would they sell?
Hardly any, because you're really not supposed to be eating that much.
Right. So if they push food like they're supposed to, and they say your BMI, you got to be in. Just think about if women, let's say on the high end, where women supposed to be, let's say on the high end, 140 pounds, let's say give them even 150 pounds. If most women was 150 pounds, it's a lot of companies want to be billion-dollar companies right now.
That's true.
Because you would have to eat, so like you probably would cut your eating habits in half.
Oh yeah.
To be, you know what I'm saying? To be like that. Now, some things are genetic. We get it. And
And
are rare.
That's
but
why you can give or take a few pounds here and
Yeah.
there. And then, like you mentioned, the BMI. That's why, like, proportions, like percentage numbers. That's why they matter. Because like I'm 5'10", like I'm not gonna weigh 140 pounds unless I look anorexic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I can be a healthier weight than I am now, and certainly a healthier weight than I used to be in my past. And so can other women. Like, so it's more like what percentage of your body is fat. And then, of course, you know whether or not that's like an unhealthy level of it. But I think, and I know you watch some Six the Goddess, don't you? So you know she talks about this, like this idea of Black women. One reason why we don't have good results from our men is because we don't respect them, in a sense of we don't seem to want them to have the best. We are willing to present ourselves any type of way to Black men. We're gonna be 400 pounds in word. You better like it.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna push back. I don't even think that's respect for the men. I just think it's respect for themselves.
Well, it is, but it's kind of like
if you respect yourself or love yourself enough to not be that big, or you respect yourself or love yourself enough to not just fuck around like you do, or respect yourself enough to not be a baby mama. If you respected yourself enough, and that's why men treat the women the way they do, because you don't respect yourself. Why would I treat you differently than what you do? Because we was having a conversation the other day. And this is a valid pushback. Chris told me I was like, yeah, you know, I got cheated on by this chick. Right? I was telling him, and I was telling him, well, I didn't have to do X, Y, and Z. She said she punished you. She punished you because you're doing stuff you're not supposed to do with her. And a lot of women are punishing men now because she knows she a fat fucking slob. She knows she a baby mama.
Energy thing. Right. I'm telling you, there's something to that. There is something to this idea of energy reciprocation, where it's like, even subconsciously, it's not a conscious thing, but subconsciously, that woman understands that she has not put herself in the position to truly have earned this level of adoration and whatever Chris may have been doing. And so it's like, yeah, that's a real thing. I think the men do the same thing as well, where they're like, look, girl, you a pretty girl, you educated, you come from a good family. Why are you dealing with me?
But we have heard stories where women have said they do be like, I don't deserve you.
Yeah, I have heard men say that, but they'll act accordingly as well. They'll at least say it, but they'll still act the way they're gonna act.
Because then it's like we've heard those stories, and then you see men actually cheating and doing crazy stuff to these women, like not trying to get a job, playing Xbox, not coming home when they're supposed to. So like we'll have these stories where men are saying, I don't deserve you, and then the men are act as if they're the ones that's the catch in the relationship.
Well, I'm be honest, I guess I've seen both, because I have seen it to where, okay, actually, no, I get what you're saying. Yes, that's what I mean, is that they understand that they don't deserve the way that the woman is treating them. So they're just going to take advantage of it. I think that's human nature. I think getting over on people, if they let you do it, unfortunately, I think that's human nature. If people will let you get away with something, unless you have a very strong spiritual sense about yourself, you are just going to do it. If them men say, okay, I got 10 kids and I'm an ex-con and I'm not hygienic and I don't have no goals, and here's this beautiful woman that could have probably any man and she just slumming it up with me, well, hell, let's balls to the wall, you know.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. I think that's why I always say I think most people are evil. I do think most people are evil. I don't think most people have the best interest for themselves or other people. I do think people have the idea of, my life ain't shit, so I'm gonna make it. If I come in your life, I'm gonna make your life not be shit. I think a lot of people are evil, and I think a lot of people want to cause harm. I think a lot of people are demonic. I think
it's a spiritual thing.
And I feel just about to ask you that, because I asked the people on the podcast the last time. Do you feel like out there when your day-to-day life, do you feel like it's an energy out there? It's a spirit. It's a feel heavy out there.
Yeah.
It's definitely a spirit out there, and not just even in Birmingham. I think it's a lot of demonic stuff going on, and even so much so, I made a post about the reason you having a spiritual fight right now is because you sit under a pastor that you know that's not anointed. He just makes you feel good.
Oh my God.
We have a lot of feel good pastors out there, and I say this all the time. I don't care what your religion is, but I do think God can work in all of them, because it'll be crazy for me to say, hey, it wasn't a religion before Christianity. We can't say that
Christianity,
Christianity didn't come from Catholicism and all that stuff. Like there's history that shows
right.
that there are steps to get these religions, right? So I do think there's an anointing in all of them, and I do think that there's God to help people find where they're going, because it would be crazy for me to think that God's going to send a Muslim to hell that only heard about Muhammad.
Right. And it's all about, because a lot of these religions, like you were saying, they're so correlated anyway. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like those different paths to get to the same end. But can I go back to something? Because I want to clarify. When I was talking about the respecting our men thing, what I mean by that is I think that Black women, maybe we're not the only race of women, but I really think we are. I think we're the only race of women that that have high expectations with low productivity. Like, for instance, when I went to college, I went to the University of Alabama. Them white girls was in that gym. Them heifers was in them study sessions. It's something about that culture. They would go to the parties. But that next day they in that library and they in that gym, and they know that they have to be presentable, and their moms will tell them this too. You better look pretty so that you can snag the doctor, so you can snag the dentist, you can snag the engineer. But our women aren't taught that.
But the thing is, how many women in our community are taught to pursue those type of men?
That's true too.
So that goes back to like the health issue. Women, I think, like for instance, I just seen I was watching a clip from another podcast. I watched them and I can't think of their name, but it's the two Black guys, and it's split screen all the time. But I watched them on TikTok, and the guy was saying, he said his wife is on a third child. She's pregnant now, but he's not attracted to her because she's gained some weight. Right. He said he tried to tell her, "Hey, baby, let's go walk," all of this stuff. But in the comment section I was reading, and women like, he's insensitive, he's been an asshole. The thing is, a lot of stuff we can't help, men or women, you can't help what's going on with you because of your natural state. Mm-hmm. Naturally, if I'm attracted to you at 120 pounds and you balloon to 200, baby, you are not the woman I fell in love with. I don't have to accept you gaining 80 pounds in our marriage. I don't have to accept that. Now, like I said, natural things, like if I go bald, that's a natural thing. That shows like, hey, I'm getting
But gaining weight while you're pregnant is natural too.
Is
it just the fact that you don't agree with that she was not willing to walk and stuff?
She was not willing to walk, but I also agreed to this, that because I got 2 kids, so they say naturally you're only supposed to gain 20 pounds pregnant.
So the rest of it is just you just
so that's the baby and a little bit more weight.
Yeah.
So after you have a baby, you should only really have 10 pounds to cut
after the baby.
So the natural weight to gain while you're pregnant is 20 pounds. Mm-hmm. Now we've seen motherfuckers gain 60 while they pregnant now.
Yeah,
like
we have.
Shit. So that's what I'm saying. We can try to give them a little leeway, but the natural healthy weight to gain while pregnant is 20 pounds.
20 pounds.
The reason I know this, my wife had me going through a whole bunch of birthing classes, learning how to breathe and stuff like that. So, and it was, I'm gonna say this also, it was all really awkward because some birthing classes that were held by Black people, I was the only man there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Then the birthing classes where it was interracial or mixed, I wasn't the only man there. So it'd be a lot of white boys, but we were like, when we went to the birthing classes in Princeton, it was nothing but white people, and we were the only Black couple, but all the white girls had men with them except for one. When I went to the birthing class in Ensley, nothing but Black people, I was the only dude there.
When I get on social media and I see a mom, like, you know how they do like a lot of the mom content or whatever, those women are always married. And when I say always, I mean always. Now, to be fair, a lot of the Black mom content I see, a lot of those women are married too. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just because that's kind of like, putting our best foot forward. Mm-hmm. Like, but we have to be honest about, and I know we've been all over the world, but I think the people who are watching can understand how all of this ties together.
It ties in.
Though our title of the video is that Black people commit mass shootings too, it all ties into this idea that we're just not willing to be accountable for ourselves as a culture. We cannot keep saying, well, what about the white folks? Or, oh, you sound racist. Or it's like, it's not about any of that. It's about, do we want a better world, a better life for our kids, our posterity, or don't we? And if we don't, then we will continue the way we are. But if we do, then we'll be willing to have these tough conversations. We need to address, why does said have to go to the birthing classes and he's the only male there when it's black people, but when it's a mixed crowd with white people or other races, there are other men there. What is it about our women that is making them unmarriable? That has to be a question.
I just think they don't want to get married.
I would push back. As a woman, I've been a woman all my life. I've been a black woman all my life.
See, this that bullshit she about to pull now.
I just don't think that. I think that every woman has had. Now she may be scarred and jaded, but I think that clean slate. Every woman has wanted to have that man of her dreams, that beautiful wedding, that storybook love and romance, and it's just that over time, she's become so jaded, so used to disappointment that she just accepts that she's maybe not going to have it. So she just acts the part. But I really, truly believe that every woman wants to get married. I really believe that.
I maybe agree. Hey, Darius, I know you watch. Hey, what the picture look like out there? I've been trying to work with these cameras and make sure they clear. So you on the other side, tell me if they look clear, they look crispy or whatnot. But they say, yeah, that's why I say the culture is deep in the trash, and we can't get out of it because we just want to point fingers.
Yes. I mean, how don't y'all get tired of that?
Ask you a question. You got contacts in?
I don't.
You can see that?
I can see it.
Oh, shit. I didn't get my shit checked again.
No, I have pretty good eyesight. Like, I have really good eyesight, actually.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
so, yeah. And he says we look clear.
Okay, that's good.
So, yeah, it's like there has to be something.
Why? This is the question I got to ask. Why, when it comes to marriage, it's not taught that you have to put your best foot forward for a man to decide to marry you? Because when we talk about mass shootings, I'm gonna ask you this: what kind of demographic or background?
Can you read that?
Not as grainy as it used to be. Okay, that's what I was trying to get.
And that's good, Darius. He said he's been tinkering with this, so I'm glad that the picture is clear.
Yeah,
clearer.
But what kind of background and demographic you think those guys came from that shot the club up?
Well, I have to be, look, these days you kind of got to be careful speaking on these events. We're in Birmingham. We may know some people may know us. So listen, y'all, J-Mac don't want no smoke, okay? But I do feel like those men probably came from single parent households, specifically single mother households, or if they did have a father figure, it's probably an in and out of the house stepdad, in quotation marks. I think that the mother, sometimes they have good intentions, like they'll work a lot because they know they have to, but when you're absent from the house, the streets are going to end up raising your kids. Right. All those types of things. I would, if I were a betting woman, I would say that that's probably where their background is.
Yeah, and I would say that too. And the reason that I'm saying that is because it's hard. My wife sent me a video on TikTok, and it's a kid, basically, it's a joke, but it's like, the caption read, when you're trying to keep your kids away from your wife because she's been tired. And I'm thinking that just that simple thing, my wife said, baby, I'm tired. Can you watch the kids? I'm going to go in here. It'll take me about a 3-hour nap. It'll take me a bath. I just need some time to myself. Those things are important in the relationship. And I just think about women who sign up to do this shit by themselves. Like I tell people this all the time. I've picked the right woman to have children with. I'm certain of it. Like, I have no questions about it. Like, so much so that I've been thinking about getting a vasectomy because I don't want to have kids with anyone else because I picked the right woman. Like, God really blessed me, and I took my time. I was 30 when I had my first child, right? So my wife was 29. We got the same birthday, but I'm just a year older than her. And so I say this all the time. I don't think people, this is me bragging on my wife, but I don't think people get that lucky.
I'm so glad that you said that. I've always known that you thought that, but it's always nice to hear you say it. It's nice to hear that you say you were really blessed to have the wife you have. And I've met her. She's great. She's beautiful. She has a great spirit about her. I was like, I can totally see why Sid is smitten with this lady.
Yeah, and so I always say this too. I knew that I had to be in a relationship or a marriage where I could always be a man. Like doing the podcast, she doesn't give me any flack about it. I have a bunch of women coming in here. She don't pop up on me and none of that.
Yeah, I've
Like,
never seen her do like even when we used to be at your house.
Yeah.
Like she would always just be so cool about me going in
Right.
and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, she's obviously a very secure woman. She'd be kind of like rocking your youngest son to sleep or something.
Right.
Like she just understood that this is something that you're working on. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of her part in it right now to just be supportive.
And so that's why, like, I changed my streaming days because I was doing Friday and Saturday. It was 2 reasons. I didn't want to compete with sports, football, and then I wanted to be at home more. So now I'm streaming on Tuesdays and Wednesdays to get her more time because she, you know, after a while, she don't interfere, but it's like after a while, baby, I need some time.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that's understandable. And if it gets to the point where she asking me for time, then it gets to the point where she not asking me for time, then I'm like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But since she's, you know, hey, baby, I need more time from you. I need you to be here more. You know, I need you to be around the boys more. I want to go on more dates. I need you to take me out more, stuff like that. Like when she's asking those are things that make me feel good because she wants to be around me. She wants to feel my energy.
Yes.
Know? And like I said, like a lot of people don't get to have that. And I tell people this all the time. Like it's rare that I'm around other couples that I feel like love each other as much as me and my wife like each other. And the reason I say that is I hope my cousin don't see it, but she said her cousin said this, right? She said her cousin said the way your nigga look at you, don't none of our niggas look at us.
Really?
She said that. She said he always just looking like he just ready to rip your clothes off and just do stuff to you and stuff like that. But then my cousin always said, you move differently too.
So your cousin said that
her
cousin. Okay.
Said that I look at her differently than all they niggas look at them.
Right.
But we flirting, we talk, we have conversations. Like it'll be times, this is some real shit. It'll be times where all the couples be around and I get to say what the fuck I want to, and now I can watch the other niggas. I watch the other niggas. Well, and then her energy
God,
change.
I cannot stand that. I'm so glad Sid mentioned that.
Hey, that energy change. I'm like, bruh,
honey, let a grown man be a grown man,
Right.
and even if he says something that you feel like is out of the way, I would say correct, but say something about it in private. Like, don't give off that mom energy with a man and his friends, or you're around other couple. Like, do not emasculate your man. Like, I would never do that. I feel like if my man has an opinion about something or he says something, he as a man, that's his prerogative to feel that way, and he can say it. You know what I'm saying? Like Sad mentioned, sometimes you'll feel that kind of energy where a man's like, shoot, I couldn't dare say something like that. It's like, excuse you.
And so, but even that, when I have these conversations and I'm speaking openly how I actually feel, I'll go back to my wife and say, did I say anything wrong that you didn't like tonight?
Right, because you respect her.
In private.
Yeah.
So next time, because at the end of the day, in our community, we don't understand when a man leads shit and runs shit. And we was having a conversation about just personal stuff. This is just real shit that people don't understand or won't even get a chance to understand. But like even like her father had like a factory reset because her father's always been there in her life. But then I come into her life now and you don't need your dad.
Right. It's an adjustment for sure.
And your father saying so much so that when I went to Destin, we had took a family vacation. I had to check your daddy because he trying to act like he still run shit. I'm like, hey nigga, I do this. Like,
right.
This ain't what you think. To the point where I would have to tell you that, hey, you can like check her other niggas she dated or talk to like that. But I'm gonna tell you dealing with a man right now. And
you're her husband, and that's the natural order of things.
This is when we dating.
Oh wow, okay.
This is when we dating. This ain't we ain't married at the time. We dating. He trying to check some shit. I'm like, bro, we don't like. I'm telling like we don't need you. Like I got this. And then also it came to the point where so when we moved into our house, we had like a remodeling project.
Okay.
And my daddy gave me $2,700 to do the remodeling project. And my wife told her daddy this. And it's like, what does his family do? Now he's trying to figure out what his family do. Because he's used to being the breadwinner and people depending on him because he makes so much money. Now knowing that I come from a background, well, my parents are there, would give me what I asked for. Like I tell people this, like, I'm blessed, and I know a lot of people don't grow up like me, so I also try to be considerate of that.
Right.
My father has always said, "You, it don't matter if you was a boy or girl, you ain't never got to go and sit on drugs.
Right.
If I had a dog, she never got to go on a stripper pole. You can always come to me. You can always ask me." We moved into the house. I said, "Hey," because I wanted to actually have a father son bonding time and say, "Hey, daddy," because my daddy, he's a good carpenter.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, "Hey, I need to be able to move this wall. Can you come help me?" He was like, "Well," he was laid off. He worked at USC. He was laid off. So when we moved in the house, they had just called him back to go to work. So if it was like a month later, he was like, "Yeah, we could do it ourselves." He was like, "Well, how about this, son? I don't have the time to help you because they call me back to work and they working like 7 days a week at USD."
Okay.
He was like, "How about I just give you the money and this will be a blessing for you and your wife coming into this house."
That's a blessing.
Right. And so he gave me $2,700. The guy came in there, fixed it up. And then, like, when her father found out about it, he's like, what his family do? Because most people know a lot of black people don't come from a situation where they can just get a
they can just give lump sums of money like that. Yeah.
So, and that was a thing that I know that when we had these conversations, I try to be sensitive to, because a lot of people, they would say that what they call me a spoon fed. They would call me spoon fed and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when we had these conversations, it's got to be, I guess, tailored to a demographic that's kind of not like a demographic that I grew up in.
Well, see, that's the thing too. Like, even just with the general point of what we're talking about, how and even I was just speaking with somebody earlier this evening. I was like, he works in law enforcement and he gets to kind of see behind the scenes of some of these things that have been going on in the city. And I told him, I was like, you've always been like eye to eye with me on this stuff. Like, and I appreciate that, because like what we're talking about is just not popular. It's just not popular among Black people to talk about accountability, to talk about, hey, let's point that magnifying glass and let's see what's going on. But there has to be a separation. I'm not gonna want my kids to play with certain kids, and I know that's gonna sound
you
bad.
Can't say that, but I feel the same way. It's some kids, I know how your mama act or what she posts. I'm not finna let you hang around.
I'm not finna let you hang around them. I'm sorry, I'm not finna let my kids be infiltrated. Have you seen? This is so random. Have you seen that movie Speak No Evil? So it's out now. You should go check it out. It's really good. It's basically a movie. The whole point is the dangers of being too polite. Okay. It goes to show how far it can go if you are not able to stand up for yourself at the risk of being too polite. And Black people, the ones of us that's out here fighting the good fight, like, we need to understand that don't be too polite. No, my kid's not staying over the house. No, they're not staying for the night. No, they're not going out to the such and such. I'll drop them off or whatever. You have to do that if you feel inclined to do, like, if you really feel like it's the best thing. Like, that's your job as a parent, is to take care of your kids, and stop blaming the schools, stop blaming the police force, stop blaming the mayor. All of this stuff starts at home. If you would quit, like Sam be saying, renegades. If you would quit raising these renegades,
motherfucking renegade, then
we would not have this problem. And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to say this in my closing statements. Y'all make sure y'all like the video. Make sure y'all share this video. This was a great chop up. Yeah. I really appreciate Jazz for coming out from the Chill Out J podcast. I'm going to let her get her salutations of what she think. I'm going to say this. When it comes to, like I said, the labeling and the stuff that we see in our community, it's a call to arms at this point. And I said this a long time ago, and I heard David Banner say this. It's going to get to a point where a lot of us Black men are going to have to go to war with a lot of these young niggas to clean up our community. And if you have a lot of scary dudes that ain't trying to go there or trying to offend nobody or trying to play cool, then this cycle just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. It's got to be a time where it's like, hey, we tired of this shit. We tired of this mass shooting. We tired of the drive-by. We tired of the baby mama stuff. We tired of the people that don't believe in family. Like, those things has to be wiped out in our community. And that's all I got to say. Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, follow. I'm going to let Jazz finish us out, close us out.
Yeah, just exactly what Said mentioned. And just a little shameless little nugget on I know Said that he doesn't have a direct affiliation, but he's only saying that half tongue in cheek, because Said definitely leans more conservative. And so do I.
I do lean more conservative. But there is some conservative shit I would like to change too.
Yeah, for sure. And the point I was making about that is on the complete opposite side of that, like you mentioned, these men that would be too scared, so to speak, to go against the grain and step up to these young dudes, whatever, it would be leftist men. And the reason being is because the types of ideologies espoused by the Democratic Party, it just breeds weak men. It tells men that their brawn is intimidating and that they shouldn't focus on being so macho and testosterone laden and all these types of things that they say just to neuter you. So I would just say, men, please continue to be what you have been biologically and naturally designed to be. But yes, I am J Mac from the Chill Out J podcast. Please consider subscribing. Sed and I have been working together for a long time. He actually is my digital mentor. So anything that you've seen me do on my platform is because he taught me how to do it. So I'm more than happy to be here tonight. Had a great time, and you guys make sure to like the video and make sure to continue to follow the New Normal podcast where you're getting this great content all the time.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We gone. Peace. Hit the end screen at the top.
Yeah, for sure. And then hit it again.